A single locomotive can haul more than 8,000 tons, 50 times its own weight, using less energy than a family SUV towing a trailer. This is not just brute strength, it is a physics cheat code hiding in plain sight. Steel wheels on steel rails with rolling resistance so low the numbers seem unreal. If trains pull more weight than any other machine on Earth, what is the secret that turns raw metal into unstoppable force? Subscribe now to hear the full story. Steel wheels rolling on steel rails create a kind of mechanical magic that most people never notice. If you like this deep look at how things work, subscribe now for more engineering insights. The secret lies in rolling resistance, the invisible force that tries to slow every moving machine. For most vehicles, this force is a constant drain. Rubber tires on asphalt or concrete flex and deform with every rotation, sapping energy and turning it into heat. Trains gain a big advantage because the contact patch, where a steel wheel meets a steel rail, is barely larger than a coin, about the size of a dime for each wheel. This tiny area means almost no deformation. The wheel does not squish or bend. It simply glides. Engineers measure rolling resistance with a number called the coefficient of rolling resistance, CRR. For steel on steel, this number is shockingly low, just 0.001 to 0.002. Compare that to a truck tire on pavement, which can be 10 times higher. That difference adds up fast. A fully loaded freight train, once moving, needs only a gentle push to keep rolling. It is as if the train is skating on invisible ice, with only a whisper of friction holding it back. This is why a single locomotive, weighing a fraction of its train, can keep thousands of tons in motion without burning mountains of fuel. The rails and wheels form a partnership that turns heavy loads into easy work. On the open track, trains do not grind forward. They glide almost effortlessly. That is the physics cheat code at the heart of railroading, and it is the reason no truck, no matter how powerful, can match the pure efficiency of a train. A locomotive's most important asset isn't just its engine or its size, it is its weight. Subscribe to the channel for more engineering explainers. The mass of a locomotive acts as its currency for grip, pressing steel wheels into the rails with relentless force. For a modern freight locomotive, that weight can reach 368,000 pounds. All of it is focused through a handful of driving wheels, each one carrying tens of thousands of pounds. This is not just for show. That weight is what gives the locomotive its ability to pull. Engineers use a simple formula to capture this relationship. Tractive effort equals the weight on the driving wheels multiplied by the coefficient of adhesion. In other words, the more weight pressing down, the more force the locomotive can deliver before its wheels start to slip. On dry rails, that means a locomotive can turn its own heft into up to 78,000 pounds of pulling force, enough to move a line of loaded freight cars stretching for miles. But there is a limit. If a locomotive tries to pull more than this traction allows, the wheels will spin uselessly against the rail, no matter how powerful the engine. That is the traction limit line, set not by horsepower, but by the physics of weight and friction. This is why adding more locomotives or distributing their weight carefully is not just about power, it is about maximizing the grip each wheel has on the rail. Efficiency in this world is measured by how much of that massive weight can be turned into forward motion before the laws of physics push back. In the annals of railroad engineering, one machine stands out as the ultimate proof of what physics can accomplish when harnessed on a grand scale. Subscribe to this channel for more deep dives into engineering and the scale of machines. In the 1940s, the Union Pacific Big Boy thundered out of the steam era, stretching more than 132 feet from coupler to coupler and tipping the scales at nearly 1.2 million pounds. Every pound of that weight pressed down through 16 massive driving wheels, translating sheer mass into unstoppable grip. Big Boy was not just big for show. Its tractive effort, a direct measure of how hard it could pull, reached 135,375 pounds force. That is the force needed to drag an entire city block's worth of loaded freight cars up the steep grades of the Wasatch Mountains, day after day, without the wheels slipping. The formula was simple but powerful. More weight on the drivers meant more force could be delivered to the rails before the steel wheels spun. Big Boy's design maximized this principle, turning its colossal mass into the ultimate advantage. On level ground, a single Big Boy could move a train weighing more than 3 times its own weight. On a climb, it still managed to keep the freight rolling, its drivers digging in with a grip that defied the imagination. The numbers alone are hard to believe, over 1 million pounds of machine channeling every ounce into forward motion, with physics as its only limit. Big Boy remains a legend, not because it broke the rules, but because it followed them to their absolute edge. Steel on steel can seem unstoppable, but even the mightiest locomotive faces moments when grip is hanging by a thread. The bond between wheel and rail, measured by the coefficient of adhesion, usually sits between 0.35 and 0.5 on clean, dry steel. If you want more clear explanations of big engineering ideas, subscribe now. But under the wrong conditions, rain, frost, or a slick film of autumn leaves, that number can plunge to 0.05. Suddenly, the force pressing down on the wheels is not enough. The engine surges, but the wheels spin uselessly, metal shrieking against metal. Every ton behind the locomotive becomes dead weight. Engineers have fought this battle for more than a century. Their quickest weapon is sand. Modern locomotives are armed with pneumatic sanders that blast fine quartz grains right onto the rails, restoring grip in seconds. The sand embeds itself in the contact patch, boosting adhesion from a dangerous low up toward safe territory, sometimes as high as 0.4. For the worst cases, a gel called sandite is spread along the rails, clinging where sand alone would wash away. These tools do not increase power, they buy back control, letting the locomotive claw for every inch of traction. Even with sand underfoot, the train may still be stalled, wheels fighting for purchase against the laws of physics. Getting a freight train moving takes more than just brute force. Subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into engineering and scale. Modern locomotives rely on AC traction motors, which convert up to 80% of their electrical power into pure pulling torque. This efficiency is not just a number, it is the difference between a train that strains and a train that glides into motion. AC motors deliver smooth, controlled torque at low speeds, letting the engineer apply just enough force to coax the wheels forward without slipping. But the real trick comes from what is happening between the cars. Each coupler hides a draft gear, a spring-loaded buffer that absorbs shock and stretches a few inches under tension. This creates slack action, a subtle but essential feature. As the engineer eases on the throttle, the locomotive does not yank the whole train at once. Instead, cars pick up motion one after another, each draft gear compressing and stretching in a mechanical wave. The result is a staged start, spreading the strain along the entire length and keeping wheels from spinning out. This careful choreography is what lets a single locomotive wake up a line of loaded cars, one gentle nudge at a time. When a freight train stretches for miles, the forces inside it can be almost as impressive as the weight it moves. Subscribe now for more engineering stories and deep dives into scale and design. Every coupler, every draft gear, feels the strain as thousands of tons try to surge forward or grind to a halt. For decades, this stress limited how long and how heavy a train could be. Place all the locomotives at the front, and the first few couplers bear the brunt, sometimes more than 1 million pounds of force. Too much, and metal snaps. To solve this, railroads adopted a new strategy: distributed power. Instead of a single cluster of engines at the front, locomotives are placed throughout the train, some in the middle, some at the rear, each one radio-controlled and working in sync. This simple change cuts peak coupler stress by more than 60%. Suddenly, the whole train shares the load. The result? Trains that once seemed impossible become routine. In 2001, a BHP iron ore train in Australia stretched over 7 kilometers and hauled a world record 99,734 tons. 8 locomotives, spaced from head to tail, acted like a team of giants, each pulling their share. Distributed power is not just a technical fix. It is the ultimate scaling trick, turning a single line of steel and wheels into the strongest machine on Earth. Every day, trains move over 40% of the world's freight, quietly shaping economies and supply chains. As global demand rises, their physics-driven efficiency isn't just engineering trivia, it's a lifeline. The real marvel is that this century-old solution remains irreplaceable, outpacing every rival machine. Power is hiding in plain sight,